Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Don't say I never gave you anything.
It's feeling epic.
3 words. 8 letters.
I remember everything.
Hello, and welcome back to Previously on Teen TV. I'm Jillian Benani. Claire is out today gallivanting across Europe, eat, praying, and loving. So we have a very special guest stepping in for her. She's out behind the desk. It's producer Jessie.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Coach, for pulling me off the bench.
I know, you're QB1 today.
I'm QB1 reporting for duty.
Clear eyes, full heart.
Can't lose.
If you can't tell, we are diving into Friday Night Lights today. We are talking all about season 1.
Yes.
We're going to get fully into the season, so there will be spoilers. We're going to talk about it all. So if you haven't watched, what are you doing? Watch this show. It is so good.
And then come back and listen.
Yeah, definitely come back. So one of my claim to fames in this life is that I actually watched Friday Night Lights when it was airing on TV.
I'm so impressed.
I have never been more proud of myself about this. I love to tell everybody this was a show that I was recommending to all my friends at the time.
You're like a hipster. You were in before it was cool.
Early adapter, Friday Night Lights girl over here.
Well, you got me to watch, actually. So, because I did not watch when I was in high school.
Yeah. As most did not.
Most people did not. And I think several years ago, you and Tyler were doing a rewatch.
Yeah.
And you guys were both just telling me how much I'd love it. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it. And I jumped in and never looked back,
This is the show I recommend to everybody.
Yeah.
I was dying for Tyler to watch it because I was like, you're going to love it. Everyone loves the show. There's something for everybody in this show.
It feels like I think with a lot of the teen shows that we watch, they feel very not to be sexist, but for girls.
Yeah. They're
in a lot of ways.
They're soapy
they're
a lot
soapy,
of the time.
And they focus so much on love stories, and this show there's a lot of football.
There is.
Really a big part of the show is these football storylines, which is really fun. And it's there is something for everyone.
And I don't like football really. I'm not a football girly, but I love the football storylines in this show. I find myself getting into it. I'm like, how dare you not play him?
Pass the ball.
Yeah. I'm like, Saracen, get your head in the game. So I get very into it.
Yeah, they do a really good job editing the games into a nice you really get drawn in, and it's you care about it and it feels like you're watching a real game.
There's a great structure in some of those in season 1. Don't they often end with the game? So it's you feel like you're building towards this thing. It's a great narrative structure to build episodes in of we know we'll end with the big game.
Yeah,
right.
We're building up to it. We're getting excited. We're seeing the days before the game, the preparation, and then once you get there, you're so excited.
Yeah, exactly.
Was your high school football experience like this in the show? Did you go to a small town Texas high school?
I did not.
Yeah.
My high school, I was in the South, so football was a big thing. But I think my high school wasn't good enough for us to care that much. Mm-hmm. We definitely went to the games every single week, but it was more of a social event than you don't really sit and watch the games. You're back behind the bleachers
drinking,
making out. I had my first kiss ever at a high school football game.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
So that's what I was doing while they were playing.
I love that. Oh
but
my
yeah,
God.
we loved football, but I just think our team wasn't that good.
Yeah.
We were very average, so nobody cared that much about winning and losing, but it was more of a social event. But what was yours like?
Ours was pretty big. We went to state. We won state when I was in high school. We went to state my senior year too. We ended up losing. The other team came back and beat us.
So dramatic.
Yeah, it was. So it was somewhat similar to the show. It wasn't this small town, everyone's obsessed with the football team, but football was a main thing at my high school. Everybody went to the games. We were all kind of intense with it.
Yeah.
Like our quarterback at the time too, he ended up playing in the NFL for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that must be why you related so much.
I know.
And you watched it when it was airing. In case you missed that.
And I think though the show got me more into my high school team. That's fair. Where I was like, these are the moments, you guys. This is
the
big.
best moments of our lives.
So sad.
I mean, I don't know that anybody's town. I think the way that they treat it in Dillon is a little insane.
Yeah.
The fact that everybody cares so much about it is I mean, it was interesting to me to watch because my town wasn't like that. But I know there are places that are like that to the point where it's every single person in the town is going to show up to the game. And
they're closing their shops.
Yeah.
And
the high school football players are celebrities in their town, which is a little wild the way they treat them.
Your local hospital didn't look out over the football field.
My God.
It really all does revolve around the football game.
Well, it is so there are towns like that do exist. I mean, this is based on a book that was based on a true story of this, small town Texas football team.
I mean, it seems fun.
Yeah.
It looks like fun. I think that's one thing I like about watching the shows. It feels like you're really immersed in a very different type of town. We live in New York. It's nothing like that. Watching it, you're oh, it's just such a different culture, and it's kind of fun to immerse yourself.
Pack up your bags and be should I have a different life?
I'm not doing that. I'm good. I'm not moving to Dillon, Texas.
I don't think I'd survive.
I did look up.
These are just high school boys.
I know.
Why are we treating them like celebrities?
I think that it's also, what are they all doing after this?
I know.
It really starts to get fuzzy of this, you peaked in a big way.
Well, that's what's so interesting, I think, about those storylines.
Should we get into the primary storylines here?
Let's get into it. Okay. So in season 1, if you don't remember, we really follow the arc of Dillon Panthers. Will they make it to say what's happening with the team when Jason Street becomes paralyzed in the first game? So at the end of the pilot, he goes to do a tackle and becomes a quadriplegic. I mean, the pilot episode of this show, I think, is one of the best pilots I've ever seen.
It's incredible.
Ever.
It has everything, and it does showcase so well that how they show the football games and everything like that. You care so much, and oh yeah, I cried when I watched it this time.
Every time emotional. I watch it, I've seen it so many times, I know where it's heading, and it's just still so heartbreaking to me every time.
And it's before you even get to know all the characters that well, but the fact that it still is able to pull you in emotionally is really impressive.
I think too, it's the way that they build up Jason Street for the entire episode. You understand his character, and he seems like this good guy and hometown hero, and you're wow, this guy seems like a really good football player.
You want to root
it's
for
exciting,
him.
Exactly. And then this happens, and the way that they do it feels so real too. And I'm pretty sure they had actual real nurses and doctors playing those roles to make it very real. It's a long time where we're just seeing him lying on the field and we don't know what's going on. The parents look confused and come down, and you can just feel the air go out of the room.
Yeah.
And then they got to finish the game. They wheel this guy off. We don't know what's happening. And then everyone's oh, wait, we have a game to finish.
Right. And you think that they just want to get out of the game. They don't expect to actually win.
Right.
They just want to survive the game. But, little boy Matt Saracen.
Matty Saracen.
Comes to the rescue.
Oh, my God. It's so good.
Wins the hearts of millions.
That blubbering boy, stuttering his way to throwing that ball. And it's just such a good moment. And I do always say this, I think that a lot of what made Friday Night Lights such a good show is that they didn't have Jason Street walk again.
Yeah.
Because I think as you're watching the show, you want it. You're no, there's no way he's gonna be paralyzed this whole time. He's gonna walk again. Yeah. He's going to. And they didn't do it, and I'm glad that they didn't, because I think that that's what makes the show so good.
I agree, and I think that his storyline is more interesting of him trying to come to terms with that fact.
Yes.
We as the audience are coming to terms with that fact. He's trying to come to terms with that. Layla's trying to come to terms with that.
Yeah.
it's nobody, everyone still kind of thinks like, oh, maybe. And it's like the doctors are like, no.
I know. Every time. But even as I was watching it, I was like, no, he's Jason Street. Like, he can do it. If anybody can do it. And it is just it's so sad. And I know too that they like base his injury like off of an actual injury that happened. Well, it's very sad.
This was in the mid 2000s. We're still dealing with this as a football storyline of like the injuries and that we've watched happen, and it's scary. So it's like interesting to see it depicted so long ago, because we're actually, I feel like, seeing it more and more now, like in real life. So it was kind of interesting watching it now, because it has been sort of a news thing like in the past few years.
And it's just interesting too of like how this injury like affects everybody.
Yeah.
Like obviously it affects him the most, but it's like, you know, his parents with like having no money and having to sue the coach and the school of just like, we don't want to do this, but like we have expenses that like, you know, don't add up. And, you know, the donations and people caring only last like so long.
That's fair.
And
let's say you agree that they should sue the coach. You were in support of that?
I understood their perspective of it. And I think that they were in a hard place. So yeah, I'd say yes. If my son became paralyzed that way, I'd be suing somebody.
I think I want to know the number that they were looking for. Yeah. Because I am curious, because the way they do wrap up that storyline,
it's very quick.
Is very, which we see as a bit of a theme in this season.
We're running through storylines left and right.
They dive headfirst into some really serious storylines, and then when they kind of are like, we got to move on from this, it's not really wrapped up neatly, like with a bow. And this one, I think, in the same way, like they try to resolve it as if Jason doesn't, like, is sort of trying to drop it, but he does ask for some amount of money. And I'm like, if that was the amount of money they needed in the first place, why did this take so long? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I know a little weird.
Yeah. I get what you mean, but I still support it.
Okay.
I just think
she's anti-Coach Taylor.
I think it wasn't personal. It wasn't personal. Okay.
He's a quarterback. He doesn't need to learn how to tackle.
Well, again, I would be suing somebody if this happened. You know, like, I wanted justice for Jason Street. Okay. I do just think it's so sad. Yeah. Like, it's,
of course.
And I just think too, the way that these boys just watched their friend become paralyzed and they had to keep playing that game. And like, now all this pressure is on all of them, which is like a huge theme throughout the season. Like, not only does Saracen now have to like step up when he's barely even played a game before, but he has to like lead this team and take care of his grandma.
His poor grandma. And he's what, a sophomore, we think?
Oh, like, yeah. Well, let's not get into what year everyone is, or we'll be here all day, because it's quite confusing. Yeah.
I think he's a sophomore, but because in season 2 they referenced that he's a junior. So
yeah.
Anyway, but that might not be true.
It's all kind of wild.
It's a little blurry. That's okay.
All the ages and grades are blurry, but we don't all care. These shows are. Everyone is like a junior year 1, and then they repeat that year in season 2 again.
It's like South Park. They're in middle school for like 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's how everyone should view these teen shows, just like South Park.
Can you try at least? Like, main characters, how old are they? So, like, Street is a senior.
No,
or was he a junior?
Street is a senior.
He is a senior, because they're like, you only have a couple credits left to graduate, and they're talking about him going to Notre Dame.
Doesn't he become an assistant coach or something?
Yeah.
So it's like, he's got to be a senior.
So I think he's a senior. I think Riggins must be a junior.
We thought he was a junior, but they wanted to keep him on for 3 more years.
Mature for his age.
Very mature.
I'm sure he's over 18.
Those cheekbones are saying 25. That jawline is not saying 16.
We can't get into Riggins yet. We got to wait.
Yeah. So we think he's a junior, friends with Matt Sarensen, who's a sophomore.
Well, he's not. They're not friends until Matt is on the team, like a starter.
Yeah.
And he's not friends with any of them, which makes sense if he's a sophomore and most of them are junior seniors. Is like, of course, they're not friends until he becomes a starter. And then Smash is definitely a junior.
Yeah, they at least say Smash is a junior.
Okay.
You good with that?
Kind of.
You get it? No one's ever good with it, but we can't get into it.
like to
I'm still a little confused why sophomore Matt is on the varsity team.
Well, he was
Maybe
QB
he was
too.
a really good
He
JV.
clearly was good.
He clearly was not very good at first.
But he's better than the JV team.
Well, I guess that's true.
You can't think too
He stood
hard
up when
about
we
it.
needed him, okay?
I like to think that Riggins was held back a few years.
Yeah.
For my own sanity.
He's
6'5". Come on.
He also looks incredibly different from everybody else on the cast.
We're like, who let this old man into the high school?
It's so
I didn't mean to get us bogged down. I was just trying to figure it out
okay.
myself.
It's okay. We love it. Well, was there like a standout storyline for you outside of the football of it? Because it's not only about football. What maybe was a standout storyline for you in season 1?
I mean, I think we both loved the love triangle, the Riggins, the Lyla and Street. Like,
yeah,
that drama was
so good.
I mean, and it also like changed my opinions of them, like all throughout. Like, to be honest, by the end of season 1, I was like, not like Jason was like on my shit list. Sorry that she cheated on you, but
I feel like I'm just always feeling bad for Jason Street of just what happened
that's
to
what
him.
he wants.
I just don't know how,
I mean, and I also thought that Lyla and Riggins had a lot more chemistry.
I agree.
So I kind of wanted that.
I love that storyline between the three of them because, again, it felt so like realistic of like that this could actually happen.
Yeah.
Of like the two people closest to him are going to get closer when something like that happens. And I think that you're in high school and you have no idea how to deal with this, and like the parents around you don't even know how to deal with this, and none of them were helping. I was like, where are Lila's friends? Like, it just felt like she was like the only person there trying to like be positive and do this, but no one was there for her.
And it didn't help when her dad was like basically told Jason that he didn't want her to date a cripple, basically.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I just think it was like a lot for like all of them to deal with, and Tim's dealing with like, I should have prevented this, I should have been there, and he just like can't deal with any emotions at this point in his life. And I just thought that like having Lyla and Riggins get together in that moment made sense, and the chemistry was so good, and you're like, I know I shouldn't be rooting for this, but I kind of am, and it's kind of hot, and like you're like rooting for them to get together, which is I normally in a show I never would, I feel like, but they just did it in such a good way.
It works really well, and they seem to be somewhat well matched, like so it's interesting to watch.
And it's also like, Lyla and Jason just cannot be together anymore. Like, there's just no way. You're like two different people now after this accident. You're not going to be the same. Your relationship's not going to be the same. Like, and you're in high school. If this happened when he was like older or whatnot, sure. Like, that's a different story. But like, it's like you're so young and you guys have so much life to live, and you were like so bonded together over this like dream of him becoming a football star, that it's just like, girly, it ain't gonna work out anymore. And you want to like scream that at her, and she's in denial. And
I mean, they both are. He proposes as like a last ditch effort, basically. Like, that's so just sad. Like, you're like, of all the things to do in this moment, proposing is not the way. Like, sorry. So it just crashed. It goes downhill.
I love a high school proposal storyline.
It wasn't even that good of a proposal.
No, it wasn't. But because it was his last ditch effort. But yeah, that love triangle between the three of them, I just found it so interesting. And I was like happy that the show actually went there, because I'm sure there were like network notes of like, this is dark, that these people are going to hate these characters. Like, people are going to hate Lyla and Riggins. No, we don't. Like,
no, we love it.
It worked. Like, I feel like this show is so good too, because I don't hate any of the characters. Which is crazy. Who do you hate?
I don't hate anyone. I did find Lyla like annoying, like for most of the season.
Even when she was slut shamed?
No, like just in general, like her personality is just not somebody that I would like get along with, I don't think. Like, her positivity and stuff, very like cute, but I found it a little too much and like too perfect. I started to like her more like when she like broke up with Jason, like, standing up for herself, like, but most of the season she just seems like so like whipped. I don't know, like she just is. I don't know. I didn't love her.
I found her character interesting because I do think the positivity is very much something at that age of like nothing really bad has happened to her yet until like Jason is paralyzed. But like that's true for most high schoolers. Like you're not really dealing with like these huge like life things.
Yeah.
And I felt like then her trying to be like so positive when he got paralyzed was just so realistic of like that's how a lot of people that age would act at that time.
I mean, that's fair.
And I think I was like, this is also like a call for help and no one is helping her.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think I just like felt for her like the whole time. And then, I mean, I think like the episode 2 where we see the bullying of like everyone is just going after her when people find out that she slept with Riggins. And like he just is totally fine, able to live his life. Like the guys rough him up a little bit, but that's about it.
I mean, again.
And she gets crucified like at the cross.
Again, realistic.
Yeah, I know. And that's what was so sad about that episode is like, you know that is what would happen. Where it's like, let these 3 handle their drama on their own.
I think it is one of those, it's a small town thing. Like, because even the parents all find out about it. Like, it's kind of crazy how quickly everyone finds out.
I just found it so sad, too, that just no one ever, like, felt for her. Just like that, she's messed up from this, too.
Yeah. Were there any other storylines that, like, you really remember and stood out for you?
I do love the smash steroids storyline. Yeah. Because again, it just feels like there's so much pressure on this guy and he feels like the weight of the world on his shoulders. Yeah. And it kind of like makes sense of why he would, you know, lean into drugs to help him.
It's like his only way is to be successful in football, and when he thinks he can't do it himself.
It's so sad.
I mean, it's really sad.
And you just want to be like, you can do it. Believe in yourself. Like, and especially like he has such a good support system and like Mama Smash.
Like his mom is like, it's fine. You don't have to like support us.
Yeah.
Like we're going to be okay.
It's just like, I thought it was a really good example of just like the pressure that like is put on these kids
literally
to win these games and like not even for themselves, like for this town. And it's just like the weight of the world is on them.
I mean, I felt like it was a bit much that he stole the money from the church to pay for his steroids.
Fair, the church donated that, okay?
He could have spent it on an actual SAT prep
That
course.
is true. That is true. But that is like, you're like, oh my God, this is spiraling out of control.
He's really letting this happen? Oh no.
I know.
It was dark.
That was not great.
He went straight to the back alley of the gym.
Ugh, with that muscly woman. But then seeing him too like come out of that, and I feel like this was a storyline too that was more than like 2 episodes. Like we did kind of like, we see him using the steroids, we see him kind of how it starts to like affect him and his health, and then you know when his mom finds out and brings it to the coach, and then we're dealing with all this. It's like a storyline that I felt like had a number of layers to it and brought in like a lot of the characters. Like I thought it was just a standout one in that way.
I was kind of surprised how Coach Taylor ended up handling it in the end. Like didn't really punish him. I mean, I think
if you were watching it week to week, you would have been like,
it felt more stretched out. It just felt like he was, I mean, they had a great talk, like he did his father figure thing, whatever. But, like, it just felt a little out of character for Coach Taylor to, like, let it go without actually, like, reporting him or anything.
I know.
I mean, but he knows that if he had reported him, they would have probably had to forfeit games and stuff. Like,
and not even that, like, he would be off the team and he would be completely done, though, like, for life. Which just feels like somebody who could make it to the NFL just being done for life.
I mean,
that is so sad to me.
I know.
I feel like Smash's journey, too, of just, like, in general of like wanting to make it, like, because it's like we lost that storyline with Jason Street, like off the bat, like that's what you think you're going to be following, and then when you lose that, it's like you want a player like to believe in and to root for and to make it all the way and make it out of this town. So I feel like it's like I put all of that in Smash, and that's why I like continuously root for him.
I think it was the right call. It was just interesting because I feel like Coach Taylor is usually like the guy that makes all the right decisions, you know. So.
He's very like black and white a lot.
Yeah,
so
usually.
It was interesting that he was brought with this more gray area issue of like, I know he's a good kid.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'll do this again. Right. And do I want to ruin his life over it?
Yeah, exactly. It was a good story.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot.
The other one that I want to talk about, if we would go back to Riggins.
We can always go back to Riggins. Don't you worry.
Riggins sleeping with the mom, neighbor, you know.
I mean,
that whole
teenagers
romance.
Sleeping with an adult, classic.
I know. It's a recurring theme in this show. I mean, Tyra also sleeps with like an adult man too.
Yeah, you're right.
So, you know.
Yeah,
but
the lines are really blurred on this one.
It was so cute though to watch him with that kid.
That's why they did it, because we're all like, oh my God, look at him with the kid. He's so cute. The ovaries were exploding.
I mean, it was adorable. So,
yeah.
I mean, dark that this 33-year-old woman sleeps with. Well, but again, he was held back probably. So.
We just got to keep telling ourselves that.
I'm sure he was 18. I'm sure.
But yeah, I know. I mean, Riggins with the kid was very
hot.
cute. Well, it's like one of those moments too where we see a different side of Riggins.
Yeah, exactly.
And when we see that different side, it is just like ovaries exploding.
Well, right,
I mean, it's just he's so good.
He's not just a hot guy.
I know.
He's got a heart.
Yeah.
He's complex.
He's a hot guy with a heart.
He's so three-dimensional character.
I know. I mean, we gotta talk about Riggins. Like, I do just feel like when he comes on that screen, it's just like I light up a little bit. I know. You cannot look away. He barely speaks, and you're still just like, you can't look away.
That's what we love. We don't need men to speak that
No,
much.
I kind of like that they keep him not speaking much. Yeah, keep him quiet. But there is like also what I forgot about is Riggins is funny.
Yeah.
Like he's so funny in some of these scenes that he's in. Like when he's coaching the what's it called?
The powder
puff game. Yeah. He's so funny. And like I feel like when he gets to do some of that comedic stuff, it's so good. And I love the storyline with him and Landry, where Landry's like helping him with the English paper.
God.
Like they're both so funny together.
He reads him that whole book.
I want more. I was like, we need more Riggins and Landry. Like, what a comedic duo.
Great duo. We love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Riggins is just such a, like, he's so brooding, and we love a brooding,
he's a good
tortured
sad boy.
soul.
Yeah.
I mean, what made him so tortured? I don't know. The dad.
Well, the parent issues. Yeah.
And the brother.
I mean, there's not great people around him. Yeah. And then, like, the one like normal person around him becomes paralyzed.
Right.
So it's just like Riggins didn't really stand a chance.
Yeah.
But I do like too that
we want better for him. Well,
but I like though, like, I feel like with this type of character, what they could have done is like by the end of the season had him like really changed. Like, and we don't really get this full like evolution.
I mean, he's sober for like a week or something.
Yeah, he's sober for like a week and everyone is like, oh my God. But I'm happy that like they have him kind of like go back and forth a lot. And like we see that he has a heart and that there is more to him and that there's a lot of layers. But I'm just happy that they don't go with the full like, I'm a completely new person because I'm in love with Lyla.
Right, exactly.
Like it, you know, it's like they keep him still that like brooding
He's still
sad
an
boy.
alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know.
I have a question. Do you think Riggins was the original Travis Kelce?
No. Travis Kelce is not a brooding, tortured soul.
Travis Kelce is more like Smash Williams, I feel like, personality-wise. I mean, personality-wise, like, you know, that charismatic, like, loud, getting the team riled up one. Riggins is not like that.
I don't think Travis...
How dare you?
Do you think Travis Kelce has been through any trauma in his life?
I think you are focusing too much on that. I more mean the, like... He's the electric person in the room who comes in, who's just like, you're like, don't talk much. You're just this big, tall football player who's like he's the life of the party. He's fun to be around.
Well, I wouldn't call Riggins the life of the party. He's, if anything, he's like, he does party, but he's so
it's
like
quiet
cool,
in the corner
like,
party.
He's
making out with a girl.
Yeah, having a threesome.
Yeah.
Do you think Taylor Swift watched this show?
Yeah, I think she watches most teen shows, honestly. If I'm watching it, Taylor's watching it. I think we have very similar TV styles.
Souls.
Yeah, I really believe that. I truly believe that.
Come on the podcast, Taylor.
I think Taylor Swift wrote So High School about Tim Riggins.
He probably plays Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, God.
So we love Riggins.
We love Riggins. He can do no wrong in our book. You know who I also love?
Who?
I love Saracen. Like, they get me with Saracen with the grandma stuff. I mean, him singing Mr. Sandman.
That is very cute.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And, like, I just think that, like...
It's kind of sad to watch him with the grandma. Like, it's a little hard. Like, because
he
so doesn't know what to do. And even when his dad comes back, it's, like, not what he expected. And ultimately, he tells his dad, go back to Iraq.
Which again, like... This show took some
risks.
Took some risks
because
to have this dad come back and be kind of a dick.
Yeah.
This like Iraq soldier.
Like a veteran.
They like went, I was like, I can't believe they went there.
But they did. He was like, you're a better soldier than a dad.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the exact line, but that's pretty much what he said. Like, but no, Matt is a great character. And I think he has a lot of good character development in the season. Like, I feel like at the beginning of the season, he's like a little bit too much of a wimp, like a little wimpy for me. And you're just kind of like, come on, man. Like, and he really does grow and, you know, grow some. Yeah. Can I say balls? Never mind. I don't know how to say these things.
Oh my God.
I don't know how else to express that.
Yeah.
He gets his confidence and, you know.
He really like becomes a leader for the team. And I think what's nice is like he also though still stays true to himself. Like he doesn't become this like macho guy and like change his personality completely after becoming QB1. Like he stays like creative and just like what makes him him, but still becomes this like more confident leader for the team. Yeah. And I think it's nice that we didn't get him like losing who he is because I think that could have become like a full storyline. And they like kind of tried to do that a little bit. Like he never did.
Right. I mean, they don't show much in this season. I feel like they do later about his like artistic side.
Yeah, that's later.
Which is like really, they touch on it very briefly in the season. And it's like, oh, I want to see more of that, which I know that they handle later on. But
you don't think it at the beginning, but I think he is more interesting than Jason Street because like you don't want to follow someone who's going to be so good they go pro. It makes more sense this guy who's not going to go pro but is trying to manage this high pressure situation.
And he has to work on it. Like he has to actually like Coach Taylor really has to mold him, you know.
And all while making dinner for his grandma every night. I mean, it's like a lot. I just feel like you can feel the pressure that's like put on him in like all aspects of his life. And you just like really feel for like that character of just like he got dealt a shitty hand. Yeah. And now he's having like all this pressure from the town and everything. But it's like just so nice to see him like not fall under the pressure and really step up. And I also really love the scenes too where like Jason Street starts coaching him. And I feel like I remember in like it's early on in the season, like second or third episode where Jason Street's telling Coach, you know, he's like creative, he listens to Bob Dylan, like he's not like these other guys, and that's where you kind of like get a glimpse of it. And I just like their dynamic too of like two very different quarterbacks, but
they become and the whole team really like accepts him. And by the end of the season, like it's cute how they are all like friends when
I love
they
it.
really weren't friends with him at the beginning. Obviously, like
everyone's very separate in the beginning of this show, and then when we do see all the guys like come together with the team, I love it.
You know, we love those.
There's nothing I love more than that.
But it is, I do really love him and Landry's relationship. Like it's super cute.
I like him and Julie dating.
Yeah,
I thought that was like a fun storyline that they had in there.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah. And I just love also all the scenes between Coach Taylor and Saracen. Yeah. Of like, it's just so funny.
It's very,
he's like a stuttering mess and Coach is like, what are you doing? Like, it's just so funny.
I mean, he is, I think Coach Taylor's character is supposed to be like a father figure for so many of these guys, but especially the ones who don't have present fathers in their life, which
is a lot.
Most of them, sadly, in this town. Yeah. Most of them. But definitely
Well, everyone can't have Buddy Garrity.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, or there's like terrible father figures.
Is it better to not have a father figure or to have Buddy Garrity be your father figure?
Buddy's not too bad as a dad. He really stood by...
he only cheated.
He stood by Lyla when she was getting bullied.
That's true.
He left the game for her. He never leaves the football game.
I think he's kind of endearing, but he's just kind of a bumbling idiot. Like, what do you expect from him?
Yeah.
But... not to say that it's fair that he cheats on his wife.
No, yeah, I'm not condoning that cheating. I'm only condoning the cheating of Lyla and Riggins.
Yeah, exactly. We only support that cheating.
Oh, God.
Were there any other characters that we wanted to touch on? I do think we should talk about Tyra.
Oh, yes.
I think Tyra has a lot of growth.
I love it when Tami takes Tyra
I know, it's
under
so
her
cute.
wing a little more.
Yeah.
It's so sad to me watching adults on these shows write off kids of well, she's not who you should be hanging around with. She's not good people or whatever. And I just find that so sad. And I think that happens a lot in real life too.
I think the adults fail the kids a lot in this season, especially. And the kids end up being the more mature ones a lot.
I know.
And so many of them are making up for their parents being like Tyra, her mom is a mess also.
Yeah.
And she's doing all she can to keep her on straight, which is it should be the reverse.
I know. I love that there's such a layer there's so many layers between Tyra and her mom, where it's the mom's not this evil person.
No,
they show Tyra loving her and caring for her, and they show them having fun in this really kind of nice relationship, but it's also a messed up relationship too, and the mom's messed up.
And Tyra's honest that she doesn't want to turn into her. She loves her, but she doesn't want to end up being in that situation.
And it's so nice see that in Tyra.
Yeah. She's very ultimately ends up being one of the more mature people in the show. I do also love her and Julie's friendship.
I love that.
That's so cute to watch. And you kind of do think at the beginning of it that she's gonna turn Julie bad, but she doesn't.
I know.
Really, she doesn't.
Well,
she's also the one that tells her
someone to believe in her.
Yeah, she's just ultimately a good friend to her.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I really liked her as a character just in general.
Yeah, I think that the character development with Tyra is one of my favorite parts about the show.
It's impressive.
And she's great for showing the class divide in
Yeah.
all of this. It's kind of that you don't fully get when you're in high school, but as an adult watching it, you're wow, Julie's parents and Lila's don't think she's good enough
right
to
exactly
be around.
Well, and that's what I mean, that's what's so sad
I think it's part of why Lyla and Tyra are never close.
It's why Tyra hates Lyla because she's you have everything handed to you and you don't have to work for anything really, and something bad happened to you now, but I don't care.
And fair.
Yeah.
We love you, Tyra.
Yeah, we do. We love Tyra. Well, I feel too we have to talk about Coach and Tami.
Oh yeah, I feel we
our main
over
people
them.
of the show. I mean, God, the scenes between Kyle Chandler and Connie Britton are just so good.
It's so their chemistry is
electric.
crazy.
Oh my God, it makes you want to get married.
I think it is one of the reasons the show works so well.
It is.
They are intended, I think, to be the main characters.
Yeah,
we kind of touched on this, but it feels like it's less of a teen show because that they are the main characters.
Yeah.
But they are also so you really get drawn in. And they get so involved in all these kids' lives and everything like that.
I love how much their characters help the kids in the show, help the teens, and are really there for them. And they do good, and
they seem to have such a good marriage, and they fight and stuff. I love how independent Tami is, but she's still
it's so
it's very interesting. I was watching you kind of expect, because they're in a small town in Texas, for her to be the submissive wife. He's the head of the household. She's just gonna have dinner ready every night for him, but she's no, I'm gonna go get a job. No, I'm gonna stay here when you go to Austin. No, I'm doing this. They really have they make decisions together, and I feel that's kind of different for what some shows portray relationships in towns like that.
Well, and also she's a big main character of the show.
Right.
Whereas
she's
I think that
character.
It could have been like, oh, she's Coach's wife. Yeah. And like she is that, but she's so much more than that. She's her own person. And they really show that in the show. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's like another version of this where she wasn't that.
Yeah, where she's more of like a side character.
Yeah, and supporting him and being there for Julie and whatnot. But they really have her be like a full-fledged character in person. And I think in the movie they like cut out a lot of her scenes.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen the movie either, but I think like they cut out a lot of Connie Britton scenes, and then they promised her for the show that they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, well, she has a main part.
Yeah, so. And she like makes the show.
Yeah,
she's so
she really
funny.
does.
Like their chemistry together is like truly unmatched.
Like, I want her to be my mom.
I know.
Sorry, Mom.
I'm just like, I wish I had a guidance counselor like that in high school.
I was like, wow, the guidance counselors were not like therapists at my school. No, she is. It's like,
yeah. I'm like, get a couch in your office, Tami.
I'll come by.
The movie is a much darker tone.
Yeah.
It's like,
how do you get darker?
Oh, no, because it doesn't have those moments.
It doesn't
of
have
levity,
the optimism.
the fun, the like, it feels
they don't
so
win the games.
serious. You read the book, right?
I did read the book, back in high school, so it's been a bit.
What would you say the tone of it is?
I do think it's darker because like the main character had like a big injury.
Oh.
And it's like, it's sad of just like, and again, it's like he's poor.
There's not
and
a lot
like
of redemption.
Everyone put all their eggs in this basket. That it's just a lot of pressure. Yeah.
I don't like
it's
that.
Sad and it's real. So I was like, ooh. I was
much.
like, let me watch the show again.
Too much.
Where everything works out great.
Give us our state championship.
Yeah. I feel like we need to talk about some of these acting performances and these actors, because everyone on this show kind of became like a name from this show.
And they weren't like known before the show.
No. A lot of the actors who played the teens, like this was like their first thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Real thing.
Which is kind of wild because I'm like, everyone's good in this show.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they all went on to like have real careers and I mean, nobody's going to top Jesse Plemons' career.
I mean, whoever would have thought Jesse Plemons would be the most successful out of the show? Landry Clark is going to win an Oscar. Like, it's so wild to me.
It's really funny because as I was rewatching this week, there's a line that he has. I can't remember what him and Matt are talking about, but him and Saracen are talking, and he says something like, I'm tired of being you think I'm just the comedic relief. I'm ready to be a leading man. I don't want to be a side character anymore or whatever. And I'm like, this was written like before he was like a leading man. And it's just very like, it's interesting to see him say that, but he comes out of it and he is the household name.
I know. We all thought it was going to be a Taylor Kitsch.
Nope.
I know. Like,
maybe he shouldn't have broken Minka Kelly's heart.
Oh my God. Oof. Burn. Maybe that is what happened there. I was shocked to find out that they dated in real life.
Well, yeah, they didn't admit it until much later.
She wrote that in her book recently.
But it explains why they have so much chemistry.
And why they like maybe had them get together in the show again and stuff.
Right. But I believe they had broken up before season 2.
Oh, wow.
So in her book, I didn't read it, but I read like an excerpt about this. And she says that like in a way she was treated kind of poorly after they like almost the way that her character is treated.
Oh, yeah.
Of like everyone sort of rallied around him and like was mad at her when they broke up.
That sucks.
She said it was very hard filming season 2, especially because they had been through that. So
and then they fully date on the show in season 3.
I know.
Oof, that is rough.
Yeah. So anyway, but
yeah, that was interesting.
I mean, he's a great actor.
He's a great actor. It was just like everyone had their eggs in Taylor Kitsch's basket. Yeah. Everyone thought it was going to be this full movie star when the show ended, and it's like, what really has he done?
What has he done?
He was in A Normal Heart, and he was in that Waco show. He does a lot of stuff in Texas. A lot of these actors who are on this show like have homes in Texas still.
So
like
funny.
Jesse Plemons
they just
still
loved
has a house
it there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they filmed there for so long, and I feel like they were very immersed. Like we've talked about before, sometimes these teen casts, like when they're all filming in one place for so long, they become so tight and like so.
I definitely got that impression. I listened to the podcast with the guy who plays Jason Street and Matt Saracen, and they talk a lot about like behind the scenes stuff and just kind of like going out in Austin and
that's fun
and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm happy for them. Like it all does seem like they're still like pretty close. Like even if they don't see each other all the time, but like I mean, Jesse Plemons came on the podcast.
Yeah,
like, it just feels like it was like a really good like environment for everybody, which is always nice to hear.
That's fun.
Yeah, and we just love it when these people are you know, friends in real life.
I know.
I don't know why, but we do.
It makes it feel more real.
Yeah, it does feel a little more authentic.
Yeah. Who else like went on to do anything really big?
Okay, well, I see Scott Porter, who plays Jason Street, in like a lot of shows that I watch.
What is he?
Heart of Dixie.
Oh, okay. I haven't
and
watched
he's
that.
in Ginny and Georgia, and he's always playing like the mayor. He's always playing the like hometown hero. Like he just has that face.
Oh my god!
Which always
the all-American boy.
Yeah, he is. He just like looks like an all-American boy, and he keeps getting those roles, which like I love. I think it's so great.
That's great.
So I always love seeing him pop up.
That's good.
Yeah, but I mean, you know,
they all had careers
doing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Connie Britton, Nashville.
Well,
after
of
that
course.
was huge.
I mean,
love it.
Aldous Hodge, who plays Voodoo, has a pretty big career now.
Oh yeah, he was good as Voodoo.
He's starred in a lot of movies recently.
I mean, he was only in like 2 episodes, so.
Well, it felt like 10. Yeah.
He's the villain of the whole season.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Off-screen villain.
He's Voodoo's Lumen the whole season.
He was good though.
Yeah. Well, should we talk about the ending of season 1?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. They win state. Panthers win.
Yay.
What did you think about the ending that they won? They come back from a huge.
It seems a little far-fetched.
Yeah.
I feel like the finale wasn't as good as some of the other game episodes where you're really like pulled in. I mean,
the mud game.
I was gonna say
the mud game was like one of the best episodes.
The Mud Bowl, I think, was my favorite episode.
Same.
For a lot of reasons, but like I do think the finale wasn't quite as good as like some of the other ones where they portray the games, and I thought it would be more interesting if they had lost. Like personally, I think maybe they didn't know if they were getting a season 2. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they did, but like the way that it ended, I just didn't love the way they wrapped up some of the storylines. Like
from what I'm reading, they did not know if they got picked up after this stay aired in April, and in May they got renewed
so
for
maybe
a second
they had
season.
written it in a way of it
yeah.
could have been the end, which makes sense.
Yeah,
it's
a satisfying ending to that season.
It doesn't draw you in for the next season though,
and I think that was part of the problem then,
which maybe is why season 2 they were like, what do we do now?
I feel like they did.
They already won state.
I know. I think they backed themselves into a corner a little bit. I think it would have been really cool then in season 2 if we saw them win state.
Yeah.
Because I think even them making it to state was like
a big
so
deal.
satisfying, and you're so happy about it. And I think if they would have lost, it would have felt a little bit better then.
I mean,
it would have been sadder. I would have been more sad in the moment.
But maybe they also might have learned the lesson of like, state's not everything, guys. Like, I don't know. I feel like it did reinforce like, yes, this is the most important thing in the world, and you got it. Good job. Like it felt like that all season. The state thing was very looming over the whole season, but there were so many other more interesting, in my opinion, storylines. Like, yes, that was the through line, like through the whole season of we're trying to get to state, but like so much else is going on that's more important than state, like winning state.
It makes the whole season kind of make sense, though, if they thought they might not be coming back, of why they're burning through plot like it's the OC season 1.
Yeah, that's very true.
They burned through a lot of plot in season
happening.
1. Yeah.
I mean, we skimmed past some stuff. The racism thing we didn't even touch on.
I know. Like, that's only like 2 episodes. That could have been like 8. Like, we could probably talk about racism in Dillon, Texas for 8 episodes.
Yeah, it did. That felt like another one where they just didn't dive in quite deep enough, I think, as it might have deserved, and they sort of just brushed it when they felt like, okay, we've had enough of this one. Like they were like, all right, all is forgiven.
Well, and I just thought it was a good storyline.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It was so interesting,
but
and how everyone handled it.
Fired.
I know. Well, now he would have been fired right away.
I hope.
I would think. Especially if he's not the head coach. Like, what do you really need this guy for?
He doesn't seem to be that important.
Yeah.
Like the offensive coordinator or something.
I know. It's like, get a new one.
I will say that state seemed very unrealistic, but 10 years later, Tom Brady came back from 25 points down in the Super Bowl and beat the Falcons.
Okay. Well,
I'm telling you, this happened, though, at my high school state championship game my senior year. The team was behind by like 25 points and came back and won in the second half.
It's a fun story.
We're like, it's real. But I get what you mean. I think it's like when you think of where they came from and the pilot with the Jason Street stuff, it's very satisfying to see them like win it. But agreed, knowing what we know of what happened in season 2, it's like, well, maybe if you didn't have them win state.
That could have been something.
Yeah. Of just like, now we're working towards something.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess how many games in a row they won in season 1?
That's a good question.
Well, is it one an
So remember, they
episode?
lose
They
in
do lose
episode
one.
3.
Yeah.
And then I think there's like
I feel like
17, 18 more episodes.
Where it's Matt's first game, they lose.
So they probably win 18
Then
more
there's
games.
the game where they put Voodoo in.
And they come back when they put Matt in.
But
Is that the Arnett made game?
according to Wikipedia, they did have to forfeit that. So they
Oh, right.
started
Yeah,
1 and 2.
That's right.
Right. We talked. Yeah. So they ultimately did end up having to forfeit.
So did they win like 10 games in a row?
They won 10 games in a row.
Ooh, wow.
They went 11 and 2 and won the state
I've
championship.
just been binging this the past few days.
Yeah,
so
It's impressive.
But yeah, impressive season for the Panthers. I mean, it was nice to see them just go all the way.
I mean, yeah, it was so
we love
satisfying.
a sports story. We love it.
It was satisfying.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will say I had a couple sports related questions. Is this state championship legitimate? Like, it feels like there would be a lot of discussion now about this school that just everything, all the controversies they had all season.
Right, that's
true. With the state
'Cause
championship.
they also took Smash Williams out, and the coach never gave a reason. And it's just like he's just like personal matter.
I mean, if the steroid
Those
stuff
never
comes
came
out,
It never came
if the
out.
voodoo stuff did seem kind of sketchy.
I think they let a lot of things slide, and I think that is accurate for high school football. Like,
That's
stuff
true.
goes under the radar. People are kind of like, we're
Yeah.
going to let it go because it's high school.
Yeah. I think it could have been a little interesting in season 2 to have like a rival town or something try and like get them the state championship revoked or something, or like go after that or go after them in a certain way. Something like that.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember what position Tim Riggins is?
Fullback.
Fullback.
I don't know the fullback of any other team on sports, but I know Panther football.
That's a position that barely exists
I
anymore.
was like, that's not really a...
They don't even use fullbacks in the
It's like
NFL.
a tight end, kind of.
It's like a running back who doesn't get the ball usually.
Yeah.
He just wants to tackle people out there, okay? Let
He
him
blocks
get
a
his
lot.
anger out
He
on
blocks.
the field.
He does have that one game where he's like the star running back.
Yeah, they do give him
Yeah.
the ball that way.
We do love that game. All right, I have some quick questions.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, favorite episode of season 1?
Oh, I kind of already alluded to this, but I think it's definitely the Mud Bowl.
Yeah,
For
same.
me, or the pilot. I mean, the pilot is great, but
Yeah.
what I love about the Mud Bowl game is the juxtaposition of that game happening, and at that same time, Tyra's being attacked.
Yeah.
And they're cutting back and forth between everyone being so excited. Like, it's just such an interesting. The editing is really interesting, and it feels like a very climax moment of the season. And obviously, it's fun to like watch people roll around in the mud.
I know.
Like, we love those kind of games
Where it
So-
just feels like all the like external forces not in your control is like you're up against those.
And it's fun that they like built the football
yeah,
field.
exactly.
Like,
it was something different because we were seeing like games over and over and it was kind of getting a little old. And then when we get to this, you're like, oh, wow, what's going to happen?
the chemical spill, another thing they never really like came back to.
Yada, yada, chemical spill in town.
Lyla crashes into her dad's dealership and we
Oh,
never
it's so good. That's my favorite. That's just my favorite scene out of season 1.
It's
yeah.
like perfect.
I love it.
But no, Mud Bowl is mine. What about you?
I'm going to have to go with the pilot. I
Yeah.
just think like it sets up so much, and you understand this town within like 10 minutes of watching it. And they show you a lot without saying it. And I think that that's why this show is so good. Is like they don't over-explain things. Yeah. You know, you understand all these characters like right away.
You care about them so quickly.
So quickly. Yeah. And that is shocking.
A lot of shows, it's hard to do that. Like
I know.
It's very well done.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, love the pilot.
Which character from the series do you think would be most successful after leaving Dillon?
I mean, I think I'm going to say Matt Saracen. Like,
oh, that's a good one.
I think like he has the artistic ability. He has the athletic ability. He's smart. Like, I think he could kind of go on and do anything. Yeah. And I don't even remember exactly where he goes. I think he goes off
to Chicago.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean,
art school.
I just think he feels like he could go and do a lot of things. Like the grandma situation obviously is keeping him there, but if he were to leave and move on to other stuff, I think he has a lot of potential. So.
And it's just nice to see him like flourish a little bit more.
Yeah,
I would say Landry Clark. Honestly,
there you go.
I just feel like Landry had a lot going for him. You know,
we love to
him
see
and Matt taking on a city. I think would make sense.
I mean, also I think they're the right choices because typically the people who don't peak in high school peak it later on.
Right, exactly.
Which, I mean, you could argue that Matt is kind of peaking, but like in general, the people who are less cool and like do their homework and stuff, like go on to be the cool people like as young adults.
Well, and they both have like other stuff going for them and other interests. And I think like a lot of these football players don't. Yeah. So they get all caught up in it because they don't even know what else they like. They don't know what else they enjoy.
Even like Lyla, like cheerleading. Right. Like, where's that going to take you? Sorry.
And like she's like, at least she more like starts to figure it out. Yeah. But yeah, it's like these people just get so caught up in their sport and it's kind of dark.
It is.
Okay. If you lived in Dillon, would you work at Applebee's or the Tasty Freeze?
I think the Tasty Freeze seems like more fun. Yeah. Like, it's just more chill. Like
either way, I'm like, wow, I would be mortified if I worked at any of these places. I'm like, you're just seeing everyone from school every day.
Crazy. Like that's just where they hang. Like that's my town wasn't small enough to be like that.
Same.
It wasn't like you knew you were going to run into people like at this place.
Right.
You know, every time you. I mean, Tyler probably that's how his town was. But yeah, I was like. I like the idea of it though, but I would probably get tired of it. I wouldn't really want to work, period. But
well, you're not Lyla Garrity.
I know. I'm poor.
None of us are.
Well, we didn't even have an Applebee's. We had a little place called Ham's.
Oh,
and
God.
everyone would be at Ham's after the football game.
And they serve food at Ham's?
Yes.
We went to Steak and Shake after the football game.
Oh, yeah. We had Steak and Shake.
I do think what this show, though, really does get right. And even though, like, yes, Dillon is, like, a smaller town than, like, what we grew up in.
Yeah.
But it is, like, these places that they hang out, you know, Applebee's, that, like, burger place that they're at all the time. Like, that felt very realistic of, like, high school when you're in just, like, a town or a smaller city, like not like a big city, like that just felt very like of how it actually is.
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
Like you're running into people, and
it's just like
you go to your couple places.
Well, it adds like a layer of drama to it. It's like you're not hiding from people, like you really are out in the open.
Exactly.
All your business.
Yeah,
is everywhere. So
I'm terrified to go back to my hometown.
I know. I'm like every time I go back, I do not.
So
worried
I'm going to run into somebody. Okay, well, do you think, let's leave it on this. Do you think Friday Night Lights is a teen show?
I do. I personally do because I think the teen characters have all their own storylines.
Yeah.
It's
fair.
It really is about their lives. And yes, I think it's circling around Coach Taylor and his family, but like we spend a lot of time talking about other storylines that don't really have anything to do with them. Yeah. So I think it is a teen show. It deals with so many teen themes of like the romance, the dating, the are you getting engaged in high school? You dating the QB1, like all of that. So to me, it does feel like it feels like a teen show, but it definitely does it in a more mature, like you know, it's more dramatic.
I wouldn't label it like a teen drama. Like I wouldn't put it in a category with like the OC or like One Tree Hill or shows like that, because I think it's like more of a drama with teen themes.
Okay.
And I also wouldn't label it as a teen drama because I don't think teens watched this show when it was on.
I think that's true.
Like, I think that it's like, you know, I was watching it, but I didn't know anybody else that was watching it. They moved it to Friday night. Like, no teens would be like staying and watching this on a Friday night.
I was going to say, I think more teens would have watched it, but it wasn't marketed towards teens.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think that that's who they thought the audience was.
Yeah.
But, like, which it was a mistake, in my opinion. But, like, I mean, maybe that's why it has, like, a 90-something on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, like, I think it thought its audience was adult.
I think, though, and I wonder, too, because I do think season 1 is very, like, teen-based, and that's probably why I even got, like, so sucked into the show. And I wonder, though, if in, you know, future seasons they more revolved it around Coach and Tami because teens weren't really watching it as much. I mean, either way, I love the show. It is for teens. Teens should be watching it. Like, I do think it can be in the caliber of teen show. I think it's something so different, though. Yeah. That it's almost like I just don't want to lump it in with, like, some of these other shows. But I'm all for calling it a teen show. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about it, so.
It's a little late now.
I've never stopped talking about it. I'm always happy to keep on talking about Friday Night Lights. I wish that they made another show like this.
I know. I mean, I feel like they've tried, but it's just, you know.
Because I just feel like this show changed the game for teen shows.
And, like, sports shows.
Yeah. And like, I just, like, wish that we could get one of these again. Like, and I would love to see it. I think that the show was so smart and brought up a lot of the, like, teen elements that we love in, like, a smart way. Yeah. And it's like, we can't have shows like that. Just write them, people.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't have to be soapy. It can be, like, authentic and feel more real. And
exactly.
I also think that the way it's shot is almost part of why it feels so different. Yeah. It's shot almost like a documentary or something. Like, definitely. All handheld, super tight shots. Like, I'm getting a little too, like, in the weeds, but
no, I know.
It looks different than these shows. And that might be one of the reasons that it also wasn't as quickly and easily accepted, because it's a little bit jarring, like the way that it's shot, and you kind of have to buy into it early and be like, okay, this is how it feels like a documentary almost. Yeah. So it's cool.
I know. I feel like people watching it for the first time maybe, like, didn't know, like, how to handle that at first.
I mean, it's like half the shots are like they're just their eyeballs.
They're in their faces.
I'm like, I can see your pores.
Yeah. All right, I think it's time for our As If Rants. This is a part of the show where we rant about something from Friday Night Lights for 15 seconds. Jesse, do you want to go first?
I'm ready.
All right, Jesse, 15 seconds on the clock, and go.
Coach Taylor leaving his pregnant wife to go take his dream job in Austin at TMU, as if. It's a 4-hour drive. That is not a reasonable commute to leave your wife at home while she's pregnant and then ultimately raising a baby while you do your dream job. It's unfair.
I completely agree. I was like, why do we have to bring a baby into this?
Also, that was thrown in at the end of the season.
I know. Like, I get that that's ultimately then what brings them back, but just, wow.
It's crazy to me that they would actually go through with that. I was shocked.
I know. That was getting a little soapy there towards the end.
I was like, no.
Did they say how much more money it was?
No.
Okay, to be fair, though, to get a, like, head coach.
It's not head coach. It's quarterback coach.
Oh, whatever. But to get a, like, college job like that, that's way better than high school.
But then you have to, then you also have to own an apartment and your house. Like,
well, no, I
think
agree.
The money thing evens out.
I think he should have left Dillon and taken the job and the family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I thought that the season should have ended with him turning it down, saying that he's made a connection. He wants to take these kids all the way. Like, but again, that would have worked better if they hadn't won state.
Yeah.
Like, if they had lost state, and then he could have turned down the job and been like, no, we're going to do it again next year. I'm going to take him to state.
Okay, that would have been good.
That would have been a good ending. But
I think that since they won state, I liked him taking the job because I just think it makes sense. That's his dream. Like, what does he owe these kids? He's helped them enough.
Wasn't this his first season at Dillon?
As head coach. He was the quarterback coach before, I believe.
Yeah. I think I'm more just like, you gotta follow your dreams.
You're an old man. It's too late.
Oh my God.
Let these kids follow their dreams. What about Julie's dreams?
Julie would have wanted to live in Austin before Sarah.
That's true.
Come on. And I'm like, don't let this boy hold you back either, girl.
Yeah, that was a little bit.
She would have changed her mind a month after.
Well,
she did.
She does.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, season 2.
Okay. You ready for your as if?
I'm ready.
Okay.
All right. 15 seconds on the clock and go.
Julie Taylor being one of the most hated characters on a TV show ever, as if she is a teenager who is actually being a teenager. Yes, she gets mad at her parents. Yes, she is annoying sometimes, but let her live.
She is immature, but she's supposed to be.
I can't stand the Julie hate. It feels extremely misogynistic, in my opinion.
I didn't realize she was so hated until you told me that.
People really hate her. And it's also like, let her make some mistakes. Like,
she's not that
who
bad.
cares? Yeah. Even in later seasons still, I'm like, I'm still rooting for her.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing where she really wanted to have sex was kind of ridiculous, but.
Well, relatable.
Yeah. She's like, so we doing this?
All right, wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. This has been a lot of fun. Jesse, thank you for stepping behind the desk and stepping up to be QB1 today.
I'm always warming up the bench, but I'm ready when you need me, Coach.
We'll put you in. We'll be sure to get you in another game. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to rate and review us and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We want those 5 stars. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at @previously_on_teen TV.
Thanks for listening.